Info Moogles, it's the Schwantz27 here, and we just finished the second to last week of the kart class heat portion of the Kefka Grand Prix Deluxe event. The track was the Serpent Trench, starting off with Gao and enough money to buy 12 items in this barter economy seed. Every single cart got the skip given the requirements of just the Serpent Trench check and 12 bosses, along with an increased equipment pool meant we were going to be doing more shopping than looting on our way to get some goodies. Let's start with the Chocobo class, whose Gao had GP Rain for offense and control for more defensive purposes, taking enemies out of fights, along with a Jump, Cyan, and Dance Realm, where our initial dance had a 2 in 16 chance of casting Wombat. We got our dried meat out of the way early in World of Balance Narsh, and found a Valiant Knife in a chest in World of Balance Albrook with an offering for sale in the Relic Shop for a really nice build. Both of Gao's checks granted Espers, with the Serpent Trench's Bismarck having Magic Power +2 bonus on it. Several other fast checks with Doma Siege and Esper Mountain were also glowing rocks, and we had learned Bolt 2 on our character, so the Blue Dragon in Mount Zozo wasn't an issue, dropping fixed dice, as well as Umaro writing love letters at the end of it. Following his checks in World of Ruin Narsh gave us the Genji Shield from Dirt Dragon, Zone Seek from the Cliff, and Steel Celeste from the Cave after a lengthy fight with Rexol, who posed a problem for our offensive builds with that offering. Then Rage Shadow was in the South Figaro prisoner spot. Next it was off to Cyan's Dream, where it started off rough with Doom, but ended 3 for 3 with Espers. Then we headed to the Velt Cave, where Blitz Natural Magic Strago was in need of being rescued. Since we ended up in Thamasa afterwards, it wasn't very far to Ebbets Rock, where we got Phantom, putting us within 1 of Go mode. Unfortunately for Outlaw Star, the first 2 checks of the Magitech Factory were both not shiny stones, but instead a Genji Shield and a Force Armor, so he continued onwards through when he could have warped out eventually, finding Gogo at the end of another statue boss in a multi-part check with Goddess. Unfortunately, he could have saved just a bunch of time just going into Zen Thief and paying him off for $22,000 with Shoat, but then he wouldn't have had the boss count requirements for the Kefka Tower skip, nor the 8 or 9 levels he gained while doing the full Magitech check. Since we fought 2 statues outside the final dungeon, inside of it we only had Atma Weapon on the left, Ultras 2 and Ghost Train up the middle, and Tunnel Armor on the right, combined with having Instant Death Mute and Life 3 for calmness protection, also meant that Kefka wasn't going to be an issue either, with our VK offering build, a Sniper offering build perhaps, and access to Fire 3 spells for any magic casters if you didn't get Bum Rush online for Strago. Hefe was blasted by a quarter spell from Mang de la Mang, which brought his time back by 60 seconds to 1:19.05 in first place, and Outlaw Star, who originally had a 1:24.41, casted Quick, which saved him 5 minutes and 30 seconds, combined with that quarter spell that I just mentioned, put him at 1:19.11, just 5 seconds behind first place, and bumped Magre out of second and into third with an adjusted time of 1:23.14. The Gao in the Blackjack Cart class had Steel and Health to accompany Tool, Shadow, and Rage Mog, who had Toe Cutter, Harpy Eye, Aspect, and Woolly, so you can get tons of different elemental weaknesses from high-powered spells there: Shrapnel, Arrow, Bolt 3, and Ice 3. Since we had Shadow, this meant the trip to Gao Manor for Bahamut, and heading up to the Floating Continent had Vanilla Ultros 4 and Atma for even more vanilla Sketch Realm, as well as an Atma Weapon in a chest later on, before running into Haydn for an Economizer, which would also be used throughout the seed. At the end, however, Inferno had to be defeated using the Sunflare summon and some of Mog's rages in order to get Stray. Following into Realms checks immediately gave Morph Cyan. Finally, getting to Gao's checks, had Shiva on the Velt and Slot Sabin at the end of the Serpent Trench, who could equip that Atma Weapon and the Strength +1 Esper from Gao's other check. We were dumped out next to Doma Siege, where Sortek Setzer was the prize. Going for check density at the World of Balance Narsh was extra rewarding with Seraphim or an offering, for which we'd go back later to use on our Atma Weapon build choice at Lone Wolf. Dance Terra was waiting at the Narsh battle, but we didn't really need her with 7 characters and 4 Espers at this point, but it did give us another check in the vicinity, which we did after Moogle Defense. Both of them had Espers. Next were some dead ends, as there was a reset out of Lock at Phantom Train, then a reset out of Magimaster at Barren Falls, and the Colin Jinin was Strago, who we just left to drink alone there as well. Finally, we got to some meaningful progression with both Starlet at Daryl's Tomb and taking Shoat away from the kids at Mobilis. At this point, 12 bosses had been killed, so it made sense to do Collapsing House for Ragnarok the Esper, and then Tizen Thief for a 12,000 GP Torado for Go mode. Since we left a lot of characters on the table, one could make tons of different paths through this particular seed. Turdsman ran into one last bit of trouble before Kefka's Tower with Ultras 2 in the sky for Madawin, but that just padded out his levels. What actually gave him trouble was the side statues in Kefka's Tower with Guardian on the right and Tentacles on the left, which required some magic learning to blast them down with the Moogle Charm taken off. Cranes and Narapa occupied the middle lane, so that wasn't a problem there. Although it was a bit of a struggle with not having a lot of powerful spells early on in the seed, now that we had Merton protection for our team if we stole some shields from Inferno or bought Rage Rings from World of Ruin Albrook, Doom or Air Anchor or Cleave for instant death, Mute and Life 3 for Calmless protection, along with an Atma Weapon Offering build and possibly a fully upgraded Setzer build if we went through Cyan's Dream, Kefka was torched as Narvs had the first place spot initially at 137.33, then with Haste 2 it was adjusted to 135.33, with Turdsman in second at 140.23, but he cast quick to have his time adjusted to 135.23 in first place, a 10-second difference after Noni Gray's quarter bodied basically the entire lobby with lots of 1-minute time losses. Tons of other runners also used quick, with Lunar Chimera moving up to 6th from 7th place, Yakko Wacko into 7th from 9th, and Physics Shebang holding on to the final points placement in 8th, just 1 second ahead of Stupid Sexy Flanders in 9th place, and then Chadius in 10th, with all 5 runners knocking off between 12 minutes and 43 seconds and 16 minutes and 44 seconds off of their times. The Falcon Cart class got arguably the best Gao combination with Jump and Sword Tech, which was also welcomed by a Dance Cyan and an X Magic Celeste, so we can get that upgrade as soon as we could defeat some bosses. First though, we needed to get some dried meat, and that took a while to find, so we ended up with several fixed dice, a shop with Atma Weapons and Aura Lances that Gao could use, an offering in the World of Balance, the Masa Relic shop, and multiple Espers with Magic Power plus bonuses on them, with Tritalk giving Magic Power plus 2 at the South Figaro Prisoner spot, Phantom with Bolt 3 and Magic Power plus 1 at the Velt, and then the Serpent Trench was awfully rude with level magics and a Madam Outsider fight, but if you made it over to the other side, you got Siren, yet another Magic Power plus 2 Esper. Since we didn't get a lot of levels in there, we took our fixed dice offering offense to Mount Zozo, where we killed the blue dragon, hopefully before he AoE'd us down, dropping a behemoth suit, and Control Terra talking to a carrier pigeon. Now that we were more happy with our levels, it was off to Doma Dream to upgrade Gao's ability, although we did have a rude French vanilla Rexol that stymied our fixed dice offering usage and only rewarding an economizer, but the other rewards more than made up for it besides the Sword Tech upgrade, Tool Shadow, and Kieran to at least leave us with some progression. Gao Manor had our 5th Esper Madawin, Guardian wasn't a problem at Welk with Bolt 3, and the reward was Seraphim. Doma Siege was similarly an easy fight, highlighting our lightning magic with Air Force granting a useless gem box. Disappointed with dead checks, Honeydew decided to head to the floating continent, where he got Calmless protection in Fenrir and Throw Realm waiting at the end with fixed dice in the middle that we didn't really need. Following our newest character's checks, Setzer was the reward at Esper Mountain, which was ideal for our 7th character needing only 3 more Espers. Heading to the Magitech Factory continued the disappointment, with SR Behemoth giving their own shirt off their back and Ramu at the 2nd spot. A quick detour to Tizen and a flick of the Search the Skies switch gave us our 2 last shiny stones for Go mode and our 12th boss for Kefka Tower skip. Poltergeist greeted us at the Guardian spot, then it was Ifrit Shiva to finish off the middle. Chatternook bullied a lot of runners on the right-hand side. You saw how slow these fixed dice were to just roll. Oh no, take this thing off. Well, that's a... that is incredibly unlucky.
A few moments later.
That is how sometimes the RNG tumbles. Alright, that's fine. That's not a big deal. Or at least I don't think it's a big deal. I want to see what the heck happens here. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Chad! Why are you doing this, Chad? Stop doing this to me, Chad! And Ghost Train was the last obstacle before Final Kefka. Access to an upgraded Sword Tech, Siren, and Fenrir gave us the tools that we needed for Kefka, and with so much magic power flying around with Ice and Bolt 3, along with that Sword Tech upgrade, Fixed Ice offering, and if you went to Opera House, an Illumina for Terra or Celeste to use, meant a very fast fight. Falcon took home the first place points with a 1:10:12, and Honeydew used Quick to great success, leaping into second place with an adjusted time of 1:12:42 over Drinks Glue's 1:12:57 third, Golden Chakra's 1:15:30 sliding down to fourth, although a good uses of Haste 2 countered my own fire spell, and I ended up with a 1:17:03 in fifth. Judge Joe was also able to snipe the last of the points places with a usage of Haste 2 to mitigate some of the damage from Double Down Slow Cast, finishing 14 seconds ahead of him in adjusted time. Lots of other first-timers tried their best to get into the points, but didn't have enough spell power to push their times down far enough. Overall standings have Drinks Glue just 2 points ahead of Falconhead at the top, with a very large gap until we get to Golden Shocker in third place. Turdsman's first place in Blackjack this week pushed him into 15th place, tied with Bubba Ski on the cutoff line with 49 points. Hefe and Papa Shango are just a single point behind both of them. Everyone above that dotted line after this upcoming final week will qualify for the elimination portion of the tournament, as well as all MP is reset for this section of play, so go get your spells cast this week before all those magic points go poof. The final week, we've got the Phantom Forest Railway track, which I believe is the most complicated of the flag sets, having to do with a huge nerf to magic, potential sequence breaking with YMPC set to remove, and the no free characters in Esper's flag to influence your routing, along with a shuffled set of drops from enemies, which encourages grind fights. We'll see what our racers get up to in the spoiler room, but the real action starts when the checkered flag drops and the spell carnage is calculated. Who will be our top 16 runners fighting to get onto the yet-to-be-revealed tracks of the Havoc Ring, and the other racers duking it out in the Fallen Run? We'll have to find out in the next recap. I've been Doshwans27. Until next time.